Hi there, it's Dave, and today we're going to be taking you through an Appward tutorial on the use of tabs and the form object in your apps. Tabs are used in many of the applications that Appward creates, and it's a great tool to provide different types of information on your screen of your app and be able to kind of vary the different screens that you're looking at without having to use additional pop-ups or flyouts or anything like that. So I'm going to take you through how to add those, and to do it, let's get started. Okay. So first of all, you can see my desktop here, and I'm going to come into my object editor, and I'm going to create a really quick application. So I'm going to go into my development applications here, and let me get rid of this previous new app here, and I'm just going to click on the last application, which is called Instruments. I'm just going to add a new app, and that adds that app as well as the sandbox, the pop-up screen, and some functionality here, some three baseline functions. So I'm going to come into the app, and I'm going to run it. I'm going to click it here, and in my object editor, I'm going to bring up I'm going to run the enter command here, which will launch that app. So here's the app right here, and you can also find it over here in the development tray. In the development side of that, you'll see that here there's a new app application. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into screen design, right click on that screen, go into screen design, and here's my new app. I can move it over here. I'm going to add a few screen elements. The first one I'm going to add is a tab. So I'm going to grab a tab, and normally you would want to put a tab up here in this region. And now tabs are going to interact. What we really want to do is change the contents of the screen based on which of the tab elements is clicked, with these individual tab selects. And you can see that the tab object comes in with a class of object called a screen tab, and then below it there are screen tab select objects, and so these are a little bit different. So if you wanted to have multiple tabs, you would just basically add more screen tabs selects under this, and you can widen this guy out here. Whoops. So let's see, let me just grab that and widen that. Okay, so why don't let's name these. I'm going to name this guy tab general, and I'm going to give it, the caption is going to be called general information, and then the next one, let's call that settings. Okay, and then we can put settings in the caption. Oops, settings, and then let's say we're going to add notes to this. So I'm going to say tab notes, and I'm also going to want posts. I'm going to want people to post to me. So I'll just create these as a placeholder. I'm not going to populate these specific screens later, but so each of these tabs, I want them to bring up a specific screen. So how do we do that? Well, the screen icon that allows us to do that is called a form. So this is straight out of like MS Access programming a long time ago. A form is like a window into another screen, and so I can take that form, place it here, and that form right now is just a form. It's not bound to any external screen, but there is a source property here where you would bind it. Okay, and so we're going to start out by just binding it to. Let's get out of our screen builder first and go back into our objects. Now you can see that this is how my tab operates. Kind of cool. I can click it, it moves over to general. I'm going to go into my object editor now, and right underneath my pop main, which is my pop-up screen that we're seeing here, I'm going to add a special kind of screen object called a screen normal. And a screen normal is not a pop-up, but it's a screen which fills its container. So if you open a screen normal without a container, it'll just go full width on the browser. But we're going to open these screen normals in the form. So I'm going to copy 3 of these, okay, and I'm going to name the first one screen general. Okay, and the next one I'm going to name that screen. What do we say? Settings. I think we had then notes, screen notes. Okay, and I'm going to say screen posts. Okay, So I've added 3 of these objects. They don't have anything under the screen, so they're empty screens. But now, I can go back in the screen designer and I can write some code to populate this form. So as a default, we probably want the form to come up in Screen General. So right here, I'm gonna type I'm gonna link that to Screen General. And so basically, how we would do this is Screen General is up 1 level and then a 2nd level above this. So it would be or I can just use the dot to go back to my sandbox. So dot Screen General is the screen that's going to be sourced. Now immediately when I enter that, you'll see that screen comes into my screen design, because now this what is displayed here in Screen Designer is actually that screen. And if I drag and drop buttons or labels into this, I'm going to get that that screen. Now, one of the other things I want to do is if I want to retain which screen was selected when I leave the app, I would want to click this user only variable. And what that does is that retains it. That basically it retains this value for the user during this session. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is go into my tab container, and I'm going to say, hey, if someone clicks my general tab, so I'm going to go to my on click of that guy, and I'm going to say, if that happens, then I'm going to take my parent dot tab, or sorry, not my parent. My parent is the tab itself. So I'm going to say use my grandparent dot form / source. Whoops, source. Hit the tab key equals. I'm going to say dot screen general. Okay. Now that's occurring at the server level. Scripting occurs at the server level. So if I want to get this over to the client, then I need to add a send to client function, which is here. Another quick way of doing it, come up to here, press Control Shift S as in Sam, and you end up with wrapping that previous one. So this basically sends that value back to the client from the server. Now I'm going to take this and copy it, because I'm going to use that as the source of code for the next one, which is called settings. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to paste that, and then I'm going to say settings here. Okay. There you go, and get rid of that. And then we'll go to notes. Whoops. We'll do the same thing on notes. Okay. So we'll go notes. Okay. And the last is going to be posts, right? So let's go posts. Okay. Posts. Oop. Okay. Okay. Now what I've done here is every time I click one of these tab selects, it will change the source of the form, loading in one of those screens. Okay. Now the only other thing I want to do is make sure that if I were to close this app and let's say settings was selected, I might want that to be retained too. So I'm gonna go down and have a default tab selection. So we named all these tab general, tab settings, tab notes. I'm just going to put here tab general as a default for that app. Now, if I want it to always be tab general when I open the app, then I would just leave it this way. If I want it to allow the user to, or for the app to retain the previous user setting, then I would do something like that. Okay, I would click the user property indicator there. And looks like notes, I forgot to put a caption, and for I think posts, I forgot to put a caption. So let's do that. Okay, so what does this do now? Posts. Okay, so now if I get out of screen design, here's my app, and if I click here, it's actually changing screens. Now you can't see it that much. So let's add some things to each screen so we know what we're seeing. So I'm just going to add a label to the general one, and I'm going to say add a text box and say general value. Okay, I'm just going to say general value here, so we know value. Okay, and let's get out of there, and there we go, general value. Now if I click, now I'm on settings screen, and because I had the form retain that user setting, you'll see it says settings. Do the same thing over here. Grab that, maybe grab a button, Okay, and maybe grab another text box, and I'm going to label this, let's label that one settings value, okay? Just to kind of show you that we're dealing with different screens. And you can see I'm adding it to this area, and it actually puts it underneath. You've got your pop-up screen as the parent, and then you've got your kind of a sibling here. It's a child, but it's inside of the form object, which is sitting inside of the pop main. So it basically loads it in as if it's a alternate screen. And so now I can get out of there, and sure enough, if I click here and here, it just switches back and forth. And so you can basically, you kind of carte blanche, you can add 10, 15 different tabs, put lots of information, all of that is in your app. You can also do sub tabs, obviously. Like we could come in and actually within this form, we could add another set of tabs and forms. So you can have sub tabs. So what would that look like? That would let me grab a tab. Where's my tab? Tab control. Right there. So I could add a tab down here, and then another form here, and that one can be looking at even another set of screens. Obviously, this tab is sitting in the Screen General, so when Screen General comes out, you can define different tabs, and then this form is sitting in Screen General, and you can then have a third screen that populates. So it's a pretty expandable type system. There are apps where you might need secondary tabs, and what that would look like is obviously if General is selected, I've got the ability to click here. If Settings is selected, I've got another screen. So that's how you would add tabs and also associate them to screens using the form object. I hope you were able to follow this and that you can utilize this in your apps. As always, go to Appward.com for any additional information, or check out our YouTube page for other videos explaining how to do different coding, and hopefully you are able to build a very cool app using these features. So thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.